Hey buyers and friends, I am doing this Wisdom Wednesday today so that your information is all in one spot. Today's video is about the steps after you go under contract. What that means is after your offer is accepted, you have a binding contract with the seller to purchase their home. And with your offer, you place some different contingencies is what they're called. These are items that you say, I need to have this done. My offer is contingent on these things being done, and then I will continue forward. So what I want to do here is lay out each of the things from start, offer accepted, to finish, closing day, so that you know what to expect as a buyer. It's really easy and common to get into this part of the process and be like, oh my gosh, time is flying, but time is also crawling. So what we want to do here is just lay out each of the steps, what you need to expect, what you need to know, so that you can have a clear understanding as a buyer. This is for buyers only. Sellers, you'll be next week. So that you know what to expect during the next 4 weeks or so. For a standard real estate transaction in Washington right now, we're looking anywhere from 30 to 45 days. So for the next 30 to 45 days, here's what to expect. The first stop in your train is earnest money. This is where you give to escrow, typically, the money that you promised in your offer to show earnestness. So this is due within typically 2 business days. Now, please note, every timeline that I'm talking about is the default number on the contract. Each contract is different, though. Please follow your specific contract. And if you have any questions, you could always DM me, but know that this is related to generalities. This is not specific for every single contract. Typical is 2 days for earnest money. Now, for the Northwest MLS, the computation of time, anything less than 6 days is weekdays only. Anything more than 6 days includes weekends. This is really important to know because when we're talking about things like your earnest money, it's due within 2 business days. Say you get your offer accepted on a Thursday. What that means is you have Friday and then all the way to Monday. Those are your deadlines, is those days. Once your business days are completed, it's 5 p.m. to get that done for the business hours of an escrow office. The rest of the times is 9 p.m. That's considered the end of our business day. So you have for your earnest money, get it over to escrow within 2 business days. That's very important because this could be either a check or a wire transfer. This has to be completed. If it's not completed, it's considered a breach of contract and you are now no longer the winning offer on that home. So these timelines are something that your agent is keeping close track of because we don't want you to lose your earnest money, 1. And 2, we don't want to be falling down on our contract. We made a commitment. We want to follow through. So us agents are keeping close track. Don't you worry. We know the timelines. The next stop, this isn't a standard transaction, not everyone, but a standard one, is your inspection contingency. This is where you bring a licensed inspector into the home to find every single problem. When my inspector Joe comes in, I think my buyers get a little nervous because we destroy the house in terms of like finding every problem. But that's good. That means you're going in with your eyes wide open. You're not distracted by the charm and the wow of buying a home. You know the issues and you're able to make a clear choice going forward. Now, typical for the inspection contingency here in Washington is 10 days. With so many people waiving the inspection, I really encourage my buyers to shorten up that time window to be as competitive as possible. You can waive the inspection. I don't always recommend it, especially with older homes and new construction, shocking. There are some things that are done, corners cut, shoddy work done. It's really important to go in fully aware of each of the issues, and that is why I recommend doing a 2 to 3 day inspection, quite honestly. Because the one other reason I think is really important is that you have the opportunity to back out for any reason. And so if you have an offer accepted on Thursday and you gave 3 days, that means you have until Tuesday at 9 p.m. to really be like, is this the home we want to walk forward with? I think that's important. So I don't recommend waiving the inspection. In fact, I recommend keeping a tight window and getting all the information possible. After the inspection period, and you are now continuing on forward, the next stop is typically title. This is where you have 5 days after mutual. What mutual means is that you and the seller have mutually agreed to proceed forward. You are under contract. So there's some terms you're going to hear. Once you are mutual, you typically have 5 days to review the title report. or 5 days after you receive the title report, whatever one comes first. Now for this is looking over each of the things attached to the home. So any of the liens, the encroachments or easements, or any of the issues like that, that's all in your title report. And it gives you a chance to know, okay, here's what the HOAs are. Here's what any of the boundary easements are. Really important to know what your limitations are when you're buying a property. After that, for some properties, you're onto your septic contingency. This is typically 15 days after you have accepted a contract. You need to get that pumped, inspected, all of those kinds of things. Usually the seller will schedule this and pay for it, and you as a buyer have the option to attend. Same for the well contingency if that applies to your specific contract. Now, as a buyer, the biggest one is your financing contingency. This one is so important. So this starts, for my clients, this starts before you've even made the offer. You have chosen a lender, you have been pre-approved and submitted your initial documents. Now, once we are under contract, now we have an address. Now we have a property tax in mind. We know exactly where we're headed forward. And so now we do a deep dive. Now we start collecting all the documents. We, not me. We being the lender starts collecting all the documents for your pay stubs, your tax returns, all kinds of stuff. It's kind of exhaustive. Like they want your child. They really do want your first child, pretty much. So they'll start collecting all of this. And it's critical. I really try to stress this with my buyers. Get the documents to the lender. Each minute that you delay is hours on the other end. So please, when you get an email from your lender, respond right away, get those documents to them so that they can get them to the underwriter and we can get you final loan approval. That is very important. Typical is 21 to 28 days to get that final loan approval from the lender so that we can close. Now, the week of closing is a very weird week. It is like warped time. So it's like, and it's frustrating. So here are some things as a buyer that you could be aware of and ready for. The first one I think is a great use of time is start working on the utilities. Right now, you are most likely renting or you own and have utilities at your current residence. Get those switched over, and you can do it on an upcoming date. It doesn't have to be done today, as in like switch our utilities today. You can tell them, hey, I'm moving in on 7/1. Can you please get my PUD for electricity, or PSC for natural gas, or waste management, or Xfinity for internet, all these different things. Get that started now because you don't want to be moving and stressing about utilities. Get it started now so that you know, hey, I'm not going to be missing any bills or the seller's not going to be paying all these problems. That's a great use of time. The second great use of time on the week of closing is determining how you're going to do your down payment and closing costs. Is this going to be a wire? Is this going to be a cashier's check? You need to get that figured out in advance because when it comes time to sign your documents, if you have a cashier's check, you'll bring that to your signing appointment. If you have a wire, it's important to know how long it takes for your wire to get from your bank to the escrow company because sometimes it takes a day or two and then you're delayed on closing. You don't want that. So be sure you're figuring that out and initiating that process. Communicate with your agent. And then you have the document signing. This is a fun and fantastic time. It's usually a 45-minute appointment to get your documents all signed with the notary. And then closing day. I have a video on closing day and all that happens behind the scenes. Feel free to loop back and watch that with escrow and what all escrow does. But then once you have your recording numbers back from the county, you are the official owner. You've succeeded in getting the last 4 weeks accomplished. You now get your keys. Congratulations. I am here to answer any questions that you guys have. I've tried to give a brief summary of what happens over those 4 weeks, but please feel free to reach out with more questions that you might have. And please know every transaction is very specific. I have never had 2 similar transactions. It's kind of shocking to me. So please reach out with any specific questions. Please talk to your agent about your contract. Do not take this as cut and dry information for everyone. And I hope you have a great day.